I learned something interesting today when I was listening to the Alex Hormozi and Tony Robbins podcast, and it was interesting to me because it was very deep and very detailed. Tony's an interesting person because the energy that he brought to the video was so much interesting. The perspective. So they started off with Alex asking a question about duty, job becoming a duty, or the things that he does becoming a duty. And that terminology is what Tony capitalized on the most. He used that. First, he started decoding how language, that the lingos that you speak, can direct impact how you see things and how you become successful in certain areas of your life. And I thought that was very interesting because when he vocalized on the lingo, it kind of broke the guard a little bit for Alex. And then Alex started psychoanalyzing some of the things that he was wanting to know on the most. But one thing that was interesting, and which is like the 2 points that I got from it, and I think I want to share to you when it comes to uncovering life. And I think that is something that I'm also dealing with, that I'm also learning about. And that was the first thing that he talked about was to changing the lingo, changing the language of how you perceive certain things. So for instance, right now, you wake up in the morning, you have to go to your 9 to 5 job, right? And that feel like a duty, a responsibility that you have to do. Now, instead of making it seem as a duty or a responsibility, you change the language to that. And the language that you use is become something of like, this is an opportunity that I get to do something like this. And that was interesting to me when he changed the lingo. So he was telling Alex about how you can change the language, you can perceive this. And another thing that I psychoanalyze on the most, when Tony started talking about the heart of a matter and the mind of a thing. So Alice was more of a psychoanalyst when it comes to, was more of an analyzing a situation so he can be productive and find a solution right away. So what was leading him was the mind, and which is interesting. The mind is the basically the leading force of the decision that Alex make in his life. And Tony was saying, well, you don't just have to focus on the mind. You can also capitalize on the heart, that you can focus on the mind because you need the mind, especially if you are a boss or you run a company, and you need to be able to make decisions based on an analysis that you have deducted based on the data. So you need someone who can make those hard decisions as a leader. And what Tony was saying is that when you become that successful, which the conversation itself is interesting because it's relevant to the people who are successful, and it's also relevant to the people who are not so much successful. Because I got something from it. And so he was saying, like, if you become so successful in doing something, right? You become so good in doing something. How do you get to the point where you don't feel numb to the habit that you are doing, to the things that you are doing, to where it becomes as if you are doing a duty to it. So Alex said a statement of writing a $2 million check to, to help some people out, and instead of him feeling good, it made him feel bad. And Tony was saying, like, why don't you put yourself in the situation? When you put yourself in the situations, the feelings, the feedback that you get from that will be different than you just writing a check of $2 million to help someone. So, like, for example, you want to help out an orphanage, rather than just writing a check. Why don't you actually go down there and see what these kids are going through, see what these people are going through, and then now your heart is actually in it. Now, when you write a check of 1 million, of $2 million, and you're helping one kid, just one kid, you know how much that would change their life. Now, $2 million, that could be thousands of kids that you could help. And you know exactly, it doesn't just become a number, a statistic. There is a heart to it. And it was talking about the heart. So I correlate that to everything that I'm doing now. I'm thinking about it as I was thinking about this part, because I'm like, okay, yes, I'm really good at analyzing certain things and certain behavior and certain patterns within my life so that I can actually become a productive and effective in that situation. But when it becomes where you focus so much on analyzing the situations, and the heart for it is not in there, it just become boring, like literally boring. And it might be difficult to understand if you have not done something repetitively. Like if you have not done something very repetitively for a long year, you won't understand that concept. But if you have been in that situation where you do something repetitively for a long time, for a long period of time, you start realizing that there is some kind of void in just you being in just you doing that same thing over and over again. And Alex is very an interesting person because one of the things he talked about, one of the traits that he emphasized on of becoming effective is being okay with boredom, with doing the same thing over and over again, right? If you can master the boredom of doing the same thing over and over again, that's one of the key to becoming successful. So he focused on that, but now he has attained everything. He has attained everything pretty much, I would say. I mean, best from an outside perspective, he has attained a lot of things. I mean, the guy sold his books, like I think it was 3 million copy, and he made like $107 million in 72 hours. That's crazy. Like I think he broke that, like the Guinness book for non-fiction book that's ever been releases. Bro, the guy is a genius. He's very smart in marketing. He's very smart in taking all these books out there. But when he was asking Tony this question, I was thinking, man, this guy has so much money and has so much intelligence, yet he's dealing with this. He's dealing with when it comes to like the next thing, you know? And how much is it for someone like me who have not become successful to that degree to which he has? And that's why I wanted to talk about it today. If you have not watched that video, it's a podcast. I might put a link below on this video and go watch it. The first few minutes, you will be in, you it will capture you. Like the first few minutes, it will capture your mind, and you would want to know more. But Tony's such a great guy. The way he delivered his message, it was just so interesting. And the things that I learned from it, if you can successfully apply those things in life, and I feel like this is something that I'm actually trying to write down in my notebook so that I can actually make this thing a practical thing where I'm not just looking at the situations from an analytical standpoint, but I'm also looking at it from the heart. Like the heart, the energy comes from the heart. Like, why am I doing this? What is the reason? What is the purpose behind this? Am I just going to do this just because I want to or just because I've done it? But also, what is the next big things? What is the next goal? If you have attained your goal, let's say, for example, your goal was to reach 100 figure in a year, you have reached that goal. What is the next goal? If and how can you make it so big so that it doesn't become boring, or how can you make it so that it doesn't become boring where when you do it every day, you wake up, you're excited about doing that thing that you actually love to do. And that is interesting because if you put yourself in that situation where you're not just doing it because it's a responsibility, because it's a duty, because you are chained to responsibility, you are chained to bill, you are chained to paying for your house and your mortgage, but you are doing it because this is something that I get to do, it become a whole different perspective. So the lingo and the heart behind doing the things that you want to do. Those are the two main things that I got from that video. So if you want to watch it, I will leave the link down below. If this is your first time listening to me, write a comment below, say something that maybe I can delve into for the next videos. But like, share, and subscribe, and share to someone that you know, and then we go from there. I'll see you next time.